Hi everyone and welcome to ImagineCraft Season 2 Transition Presentation. My name is Exum and I'm just going to walk you through a lot of the changes that are going to be happening on ImagineCraft as we move into Season 2. So let's take a look. So like I said, this is just to get everyone up to speed, make sure we're all on the same page, and we understand what's happening as we move from Season 1, what we know and have known for the last year and a half, and what's coming up in the future with our map reset, which is what we're calling Season 2. As of right now, there is no date on when we're moving to Season 2 for the new map, but just stay tuned on the forums. That information will be revealed eventually when I know more. So let's take a look and see how we're going to make 2017 awesome. Going into our second year, we're at the year and a half mark right now, but hey, we're looking forward to the future here. This presentation is going to cover numerous topics. We're going to talk about lessons learned. So obviously when you run a server for a year and a half, you tend to be able to put some things in your back pocket as far as what you've learned, what you could have done better. And we're going to take a look at a lot of those enhancements and how we're going to make things better. And we're going to talk about the map updates. We're going to cover specific topics with those map updates with spawn, community farms, as well as the shopping district. Then we're also going to move into other things like player warps, whitelist and forum changes that are going to come up, quality versus quantity, which has always been one of our mantras here as part of our vision, what makes a server awesome. And then we're going to talk about the ImagineCraft Mini Events Committee. So you'll see there ICMEC, or ICMEC as I may say in my brain at some points. We're going to reboot that for Season 2 and get that rolling. And if you're not sure what that's all about, don't worry, we're going to cover that coming up here very soon. Alright, so lessons learned. Great quote here from Steve Jobs. Sometimes when you innovate, you make mistakes. It's best to admit them quickly and get on with improving your other innovations. So, what did we learn? So, there are things that I myself have noticed, that staff have noticed, and then we also put out a survey to everyone, and you were able to jump in there and say how you would do things better. And it was very map oriented, as well as an open box where you can contribute anything you wanted. So we took data from everyone regarding the survival map, creative, amplified, and took all your thoughts, even about the nether at the end. And so we took all this feedback, and as we go through this presentation, you'll notice that I'm going to put little gold stars on the slides, typically in the top left-hand corner, just to kind of set the expectation or stage that this was something that came up, and it's an enhancement that we're going to do things better. So I want to just thank everyone for taking the time to submit feedback, letting us know how you felt, and we listen. So let's take a look. Moving into map updates, JFK, great person, changed the law of life, and those who look only to the past or present are certain to miss the future. So here on ImagineCraft, we are always looking forward, but we also take the time to look back and see what has happened and how we can always do things better. There's a wheel here that is constantly turning on continuous improvement. You'll see it throughout the year and a half of our history. There's lots of surveys that go on. There's lots of improvements and changes that happen because of those surveys. And today is no different as we move into Season 2. So when we take a look at the survival map, we know that we're doing this because of many reasons, but the community did vote in favor of a map reset, roughly 65 for, 35 against, which was rather surprising. And we're going to trigger that along with version 1.11 of Minecraft that Mojang's putting out. So this is the very first time we have done a map reset in the whole year and a half that ImagineCraft has been around. So big event. And this wasn't even something that was planned a year and a half ago. I was always under the impression that we weren't going to have a map reset. So you never know what's going to happen in the future, right? JFK, change. So we're also going to drastically reduce the size of our map. One of the things that, lessons learned that we take into consideration here is that when you have a really large map, there's not a lot that you're going to be able to do to expand upon that when Mojang puts out updates that changes how the game world modifies those chunks that generate. So when we've already locked in a size, we're kind of stuck. So when we start with a fresh map here, we're going to kind of do a tree ring approach where as we grow and we expand, we can always add another layer, which is going to be expanding the distance of the map to accommodate for any changes that Mojang might put out regarding world generation. So something to think about. So when we do this, here we are looking at version 1.11. We've got llamas now, so you're going to be able to see those. 1.10 brought about the polar bears, and so who knows what's coming down the radar with Mojang next. So I'm always interested in seeing what's going to happen next, and I'm glad that we're in a better position to accommodate changes from Mojang with our map. Because we're going to a smaller size of map, we're going to be able to make some plug-in changes, and one of the ones that is a requested feature that keeps coming up over and over again is, hey, can we get that 3D view on DIN map? And I am saying DIN map. I know a lot of people like to say Dyn map, but to me it's DIN map. So we are going to roll out the isometric view, so that's the 3D view. And so you can kind of see an example here on the slide what that would look like. So those of you that love the 2D view, don't worry, it's not going anywhere. Next up, we're going to talk about nether portals. So because we're not on such a large map, we're going to probably run into the issue of someone not linking a portal up correctly. So we want to make sure that everyone understands how to work a nether portal so that you link it, so that way when you go through it, you end up where you want to end up and you don't get spat out in the nether at someone else's portal, or if you're coming back from the nether to the overworld, you don't end up, like 400 blocks away from where your portal's at. So there is a calculator that you can use. There's a guide, and I have it here on the slide. It's also in the forums under New Start here. It's at the very bottom right now. How to guide to linking up your nether portal. So that information's been there since day one. You may not know it, but I'm just going to specifically call it out here, and I'll probably write a real quick script plugin just to say when someone uses Flint and Steel on Obsidian, give them a little message saying, hey, make sure you link this up properly. If we run into any problems with the portals, AeroZap is going to be our portal master for Season 2. So this is a brand new thing. Like I said, having a smaller map means that we're going to have more complications with portals overlapping, or if they're improperly linked, you will end up getting shot out at a different portal. So if you run into this situation, get in touch with AeroZap. If you're not sure how to link up a portal, ask a fellow player, ask someone on staff, ask AeroZap. So just remember, nether portals, talk to AeroZap. He's going to be able to help you out. It's just real quick math, and then if that player is not online, we're going to let AeroZap go ahead and manage fixing that up. That way, someone's not going to say, oh, you griefed my nether portal. Just get in touch with AeroZap. All right, moving into Amplified. So we had a lot of interesting things come up with Amplified, and just some history on Amplified. We added it later as a separate map in addition to the survival world, because we had an interesting conversation on TeamSpeak one day, and a lot of people were like, yeah, Amplified. So I put it in play. And that's the same thing with how creative started. We didn't have creative, and it was like, yeah, let's have some creative. We can have some way to build and look at things and do redstone instead of trying to do it in the survival. We could test ideas. And so I was like, yay, let's make a creative map. So creative is going to stick around, and Amplified is going to go bye-bye. So we're going to purge away the Amplified map. It's not a very popular setting for the majority of players. There probably could have been things that could have done a lot better with that, but we didn't. And as a result, we're just going to go ahead and just scrap away Amplified, and we're just going to absorb that disk space. So we'll be able to put things to better use. So bye-bye Amplified. All the shops, those are going to get incorporated over into the survival world, the gaming district. All that stuff's going to come back. It's just going to be on one world. All right, let's take a look at Spawn, because that's where everything begins. JBodge is going to be the admin that's going to oversee Spawn and everything that happens within Spawn and the Spawn chunks. So he's mainly going to be focused on farms and also making sure that we have a cohesive feel around Spawn. One of the things that you guys mentioned is that things felt a little disjointed. It really wasn't a whole lot of cohesiveness. And, I totally agree with you. So what we're going to do this time around is we're going to have Spawn. Things are going to be planned a little better, and we're going to go ahead and start linking in transportation right from Spawn to help people get around a little easier. So we'll have the railway engineers connect Spawn up. We'll take it to farms. We'll take it to the shopping district. All this stuff's going to get linked in a lot better, and Rails are definitely going to be a thing this time around in Season 2, so we're going to try to make use of the iron that we're going to be able to get from people mining up iron donations and when we get an iron farm in place, which we'll talk more about this as we go through the presentation. So just know that if you plan on building around Spawn, you're going to need to get in touch with JBodge, and he's going to say yay or nay, and he might have some signs posted throughout, like this plot's reserved for such and such a purpose, or sugarcane can go here, animals can go here, cows, whatever. So JBodge is the orchestrator or conductor of everything that happens around Spawn. So, and as we know, his love for pigmen, he's also in charge of getting rid of any free roaming pigmen that might come through a portal. So stay tuned as we look forward to seeing JBodge's master plan for Spawn, as currently it is still a work in progress. And it may even still be work in progress as things develop on the map. So, while we can say there are some definitive plans in place for things like the shopping district, Spawn is going to be something that evolves, and JBodge is just going to have to roll with some of those changes as we are already playing on the map. That's going to happen. Alright, let's talk about community farms. So, one stop for all your farm needs. So here we want to have a much greater reliance on community farms for Season 2 than what we had in Season 1. And one of those reasons may have been because we started out with farms at Spawn for Season 1, but then people complained about lag, and we ended up moving it out of Spawn. That's how Newbie Island was born, and that tower, 2 towers of plants and animals and everything being right there. So we're going to try to do things a little different. We're going to try to, put it all here at Spawn. But we're going to try and keep in mind, keeping the lag down. So we're going to take a look at what we can do. So, we talked about that disjointedness. I just mentioned that stuff was moved over to Newbie Island and cohesiveness. So what we're going to try and do this time around is we're going to try and put this stuff in Spawn or very close to Spawn. And if it's not at Spawn, again, we're going to have a rail cart take you right over there. That way you can pick up whatever supplies you need. Whether it's beef, chicken, maybe you need some sugar cane, whatever your needs are from a public farm. And make all this really accessible so that way we don't have a lot of duplicate farms spread throughout the map. So we're looking to have farms with minimal redstone. Again, if it's in the spawn chunks, that means it's going to be loaded all the time. And we have to keep in mind the server performance always for ticks per second and making sure that we don't have any lag throughout the server. So no duplicate farms. Again, we want to maximize the efficiency of the farm, so if you are creating anything, make sure you're looking at lossless designs or things that are very efficient. Animal breeders that are automatic, we're looking to make sure that they have an auto kill mechanism as well. So think like a chicken or a cow cooker. If you're not quite sure what that is, just go on YouTube, type it in, and you'll see exactly what that's about. Iron farms at spawn, so iron golems, getting that lovely iron raining from the sky. Those are going to be capped at 3 modules. Again, these are things that should be able to produce enough iron for everyone. It could be, analyzed later, but for now we're just looking at having 3. So, and then a little note here at the bottom of the slide about what I talked about with having a little bit of lag. So again, we're just going to try and put this stuff in spawn, see how it goes. But just keep in mind that if we get a lot of complaints about spawn area having a lot of lag, we may have to move some things. So we're going to try it. Alright, so let's take a look at the shopping district. So we talked about, farms and spawn, but, what about if you have a shop? What's this new shopping district going to look like? So, without further ado, let's talk about the challenges that we faced with Season 1. So, first of all, it was an amplified. So, we tried to breathe life in the amplified by putting the shops there. So, people say, oh, this is disjointed. And you're right. You had to hop in the amplified, you then had to go and find the way to get there, and it just was not a good way that we did this. Going forward, we're going to try this differently. From spawn, again, hop into a rail cart, get taken right to the shopping district. Everything in here is going to be laid out much better. So our challenges that we had with Season 1, lack of roads or poor roads, poor organization of shops and plots, people didn't know where to go. Where's this person's shop? Oh my goodness, goodness gracious. Let me try use the wiki to find out what's going on, and hopefully I can make it there. And then you had to hoof it. You had to run around. So really wasn't all that great transportation. So we're going to try and take a look at the things that we've learned and see what we can do better. So first of all, I took all the shops that were in play that were listed on the wiki, and I organized them into categories. And I found out that I can put every one of the shops in the 7 categories with an 8th one kind of as the overflow. So if we take a look at this, we've got build materials for blocks and redstone, books, consumables, potions, foods, drink, decoration like flowers and dyes, drops for mob drops, gunpowder, bones, that sort of thing, equipment, picks, bows, elytras, etc., novelty items like player heads, and then we have the 8th category, which is that overflow, which is going to fit a lot of other things in here, like people who have larger multi-purpose shops or, miscellaneous. Maybe it doesn't fit the first 7 categories. But like I said, I was able to put everything in 1 through 7 before. 8th is the overflow category, so future-proof. If it doesn't fit 1 through 7, it's going in 8. So if we take a look here at the next slide, this is the diagram that was put together that showcases how we're going to do the shopping district this time around. And we're going to go through this over the next few slides, and I'm going to give some sample designs with things so you can kind of see what's in my brain. I'm not an artist by any means. You guys know this, so I'm going to rely on you to make the vision fit the design. So moving into the next slide here, we have the center house or building to the underground rail system. So that's the middle section there in yellow. And you'll see here that we're going to put the center building over the subway station. So our rails are going to be underground, and you're going to be able to hop into the rails, and you're going to be able to get issued out to the districts for each area. So when we take a look here, we're going to have a nice centerpiece inside our square plaza, and this is what we're talking about, the center building. It's going to be over the subway. So you enter the building, go down into the subway, hop in the minecart if you want to go a little further to get to a particular district. Taking a look here at the next slide. So we're going to talk about the roads, and these road patterns that I have here came from a forum post already where roads were being talked about and amplified for the shopping district, and those 4 patterns there were the top 4 that the community voted for. And I put a link there to the forum post in case you want to go there, leave any comments, that sort of thing, or take a look at what proposed patterns were put into play first, because there was actually quite a few of them, more than just these 4. So these are the top 4. So again, I'm just putting them in here. This is what we're going to try to stick to for the roads throughout the shopping district. And you'll see that, rails are going to lead off going to all 8, but the roads here, these are just going to be your cardinal directions. So north, east, south, west, that's going to be your roads. So if you just want to, stroll along a road, you can. If you want to hop into your minecart, you go in the subway, punch the station you want to go to, and then off you go. So it's going to be a little bit more precise to use the rail cart system, but we're still going to have roads for people who just maybe want to cruise along and just kind of freestyle their travel or go exploring or what have you. So that's the roads. Let's talk about the inside of this thing. So we have our center building, we have our roads, and then in each quadrant we're going to have place markers for small market stands or stalls. So if we take a look here at the pictures, you'll see these are pretty tiny. It's not going to take up a whole lot of space, but then again, this shopping district is going to be rather large so that we can fit a good bit of small market stands in here. I don't have the exact dimensions just planned out just yet. We'll see what kind of space we get together for when we start developing the shopping district. But these stalls, we're typically looking at people to have anywhere between 1 to 3 double chests worth of stuff that they're selling. So initially, we're going to have everyone move in. We start the server, you open up a store, you may not have that much, and so you're going to start out with a stall. And then after you get more product, maybe your store expands, you're probably going to want to go ahead and think about getting a bigger shop. And so that's when you're going to expand outwards. But inside this plaza, we're going to have all the small shops. So if we take a look at the diagram, each one of those quadrants, top right, you're looking at people who meet criteria 1 and 2, which if we look down at if we go look at the previous slide for 1 and 2, we're talking about build materials and books. So that would be inside 1 and 2. So all those small shops. And then when we migrate outwards, so here's the next slide for large shops and districts. So you start out with a small shop, you outgrow it, you're now going to have to go and build your actual building. You have to build your shop. So it's not just going to be a little stall. You're going to have something that looks like a house or a shop. Pretty much what we did right now, currently in the amplified world for the shopping district. If you want to sell potions and make a shop that looks like a big potion bottle, then you can do that. So there's not going to be any restrictions on how you can build. People can build a shop however they want it to look, but we are going to have it be a little bit more organized. There is going to be a plot. We're going to have the roads winding through the district. We're going to have a spot for the mine carts to eject out of, so that way you pop up on the surface. So all that's going to be taken into account this time around. And I did mention the railway. Those are just going to go right into each and every district for the outside for the shops. So hopefully these get rather large. Hopefully we have a bustling player economy, lots of shops, lots of stalls, and each shop is going to get an address, so this will help out with people not knowing where to go or how to find someone's shop. So more to come on that a little later, but definitely a very nice preview for everyone regarding the shopping district. And I want to take a moment just to talk about the management of the shopping district. So Modest Tom is going to be in charge of the shopping district, so his whole mission is going to be regarding everything regarding the shops. We're going to have a new store application process that you'll be able to put in. That's going to be developed, and then that way we can put you into a particular district. We can get you your address. So it's just going to be a little bit more organization regarding the shopping district. You're not just going to roll in there and just start building and setting up a shop. You're going to have to make an application. There was some talk about putting a tax on shop owners this time around, but that's been thrown out the window. We're not going to do that. So as some people pointed out, hey, I might not sell very much, whereas if I had a different shop, I could sell a whole lot. So don't worry about a tax. We're not going to do it this time. And we didn't have a policy in place for inactive shops, so that became a concern. Someone goes inactive, but their shop's still there, and it's just taking up space now because maybe their product was all bought out, and now we have this eyesore here, this dead shop. So what are we going to do now about shops? So we're going to have a new policy. We know Artex 404 is the server's reaper. So if we have any inactive players at the 30-day mark, so we know 30 days means you're inactive, we're going to go ahead and pretty much mark that as being inactive. Artex is going to come in there and clean up your shop. And what I mean by that is we're going to break it down. And all the contents of your shop, so all your inventory, your chests, any books or ledgers that you were using to keep track of sales, and your building materials for your shop, they're all going to get broken down. And we're going to go ahead and put that in a subterranean warehouse. And all your stuff's going to get stored in chests with a sign on there as the date that you went inactive and your name on it. So if you happen to come back, you'll be able to get all your stuff out of there, so you can rebuild your shop and get things going again if you come back. But we know that typically when people go inactive for 30 days longer, they typically don't come back. So this is just more initiative if you're a shop owner to make sure you're logging in more frequently, or else your shop's going to get torn down. If your stuff stays in storage in this warehouse for 30 days, so you went 30 days inactive, we pack up your shop, we put it into this warehouse, we're going to give it 30 days more. So we're now looking at 60 days total that you've been inactive. At this moment in time, all the contents of your chests of your shop are now going to get moved over into the funds or items that are available for the ImagineCraft Mini Events Committee. So it's going to get recycled into materials for building for new events, as well as prizes. So if you had some really good stuff in your shop, those are now going to be issued out as prizes for the community. So not necessarily a bad thing that someone goes inactive, with being able to reap some of the benefits, kind of like the base raids. And we help keep the shopping district. The shops that are there are active shops. You're not going to have any inactive shops that you go into and then there's no inventory or anything for you to buy there. It's just a waste of everybody's time. So definitely something to look forward to. And like I said, if you are a shop owner, that's just more initiative, more of a reason for you to, more motivation to log in more frequently. Okay, let's move into a touchy subject here, player warps. There's been a lot of controversy about the player warp since we started using warps on ImagineCraft, which even if you look in the very beginning first recruiting video I ever put out, and I need to redo that video, player warps have been something that overall the community loves having. There's a lot of convenience with player warp. You just run up to somebody's mailbox, press their button, boom, you're at their base. But then there's the gameplay side of this, and when you think about version 1.11 being the exploration update and adventure and people going out and exploring, warps kinds of puts a little damper on that, because you can just pull up the map and you can find someone's warp and you can go right there and off you go. And you're not worried about resource cost. You're not packing up for this long journey, making sure that you have food and supplies on you, because you know that when you're out exploring, you can always find someone's warp to get you back. And so we're actually going to be making some changes here. So let's take a look, moving the player warps. Because of the map size reduction, I have decided to do away with player warps. And I know that this is not the majority of the filling on the server, but I think that going into Season 2, providing more of a challenge for the player base, having a smaller map, this is definitely going to be a positive. So I know you're probably freaking out right now, but don't worry about it. So we're going to be having our engineers with the rails. Things are going to get connected in. The nether's going to have a lot more use than it did before. Now, as our map grows, it is possibly we may put warps back into play, but I would not expect this. So just know that it is something that could be evaluated as our map grows, but initially starting out, it's going to be small. We're not going to worry about having player warps established. So that just means that the nether, you get to have a lot more fun dodging gas fireballs. There's going to be a lot more construction going on in the nether. I expect this community to put together a rockin' nether hub, one that blows the previous one out of the water. And so, we got the engineers. We can definitely tie in some better changes with how we did rails in the past, especially with the updates that mobs do not spawn on tracks anymore. So I really think that we can come together as a community and build the nether up to what it should be. We're going to add value. We're going to make it a little bit more challenging for getting around, but overall, this is going to be a very positive change for ImagineCraft. And as always, you're going to have opportunity to say how you feel about things on a forum post. So, if you can definitely chime in and say how you feel about player warps. I'm actually kind of interested in seeing how this is going to get received. And this whole presentation in general, I'm interested in seeing how the community is going to take to all of these changes. Okay, so let's take a look at whitelist and forum account changes. So one of the things I like to think about is that when you get whitelisted, it's like being accepted into the cool kids club, because that's exactly what happens. We have oodles of people come on by and apply on our website to play here. We do our screening process, we check people out, we vet them as best as we can, and we bring them onto the server. And obviously, if you're playing here, you're a part of that. So let's take a look at what's been happening with our whitelist. So we've been running for a year and a half, and we have right now 669 people whitelisted on ImagineCraft. I don't know what the math is because I haven't done it, but just looking at 669, you realize 365 days a year, we're whitelisting more than one person a day at this rate. So that's pretty impressive. Recruiting efforts have never really been an issue when it comes to ImagineCraft. But what we're going to go ahead and do for Season 2 is we're going to go ahead and purge this whitelist. That 669 names that are on there, that's crazy. It's ludicrous. We don't have 669 active players on this server. And so, when we take a look at this, look at all these names. That is everyone who is whitelisted on ImagineCraft right now. And you're more than welcome to pause this, pull up the document, just sit there and look at all the names that we have. Obviously, if someone gets banned, they get removed from the whitelist, so this is not a true representation of all the people we've ever whitelisted on ImagineCraft, but it's the current list of who can just hop on the server at any given time right now. They're whitelisted. So we're just going to get away from this. It's all going to be stripped away. We're going to start fresh. So if we take a look here at the whitelist application for prior players, this is a brand new thing here. This has not been done before. So Momo is going to be making the new form. So we're actually going to have an application for brand new players that we utilize right now in the forums, and then we're also going to branch out and have an application for previous players. So there's going to be more difficult questions to answer on this one than the generic one for someone who's never played here. So we're going to ask stuff like, how did you contribute to the community while you were here? Because we're trying to continually drive having people who are playing here for the community, not just people that are lone wolves and off they go and do their own thing and we never hear from them again. So driving that community spirit, that involvement, teamwork, building together, positive community, a lot of changes that are going to be coming out to help make that more of a reality than what we have been doing. And we're also going to take a look at how you acted and how your conduct was while you were on the server. So when you reapply, because we're going to strip out that whitelist, we're going to ask these things. We're going to take this into consideration. If you always come on here and you're negative Nancy all the time, then chances are you're not going to come back. If you stir the pot and you're a drama monger, then we're going to take a look at that and be like, well, they come on the server. What value do they bring to this server? Is it a positive for this player to, have they been a positive influence or have they been a negative influence? What has transpired around this player in the year and a half that we've been on this server? So we're going to be taking a real close look at everyone who is reapplying. Now the good news is not everyone has to reapply. So you're probably like, oh my god, what's happening? So anyone who is a VIP rank or your staff, you're exempt. You're automatically integrated into the whitelist for Season 2. So thanks for being awesome. Really appreciate that. So I think this is a great way to reward those who are VIP. They've already proven themselves as being community-minded. For everyone else that is orange rank as being a member, or maybe you're purple because you're still on trial. Let me back up here a moment. So if you're white rank, then you haven't hit your 10 hours yet. If you're purple, then you have hit your 10 hours, but we're trying to see if you're community minded, if you're a good fit, and then you move over into the orange. And then the true test of moving from orange to blue is where you really stand out. You get nominated and you get approved for being a VIP, and then you get moved into VIP rank. So if you're white, purple, or orange, you're going to need to go ahead and reapply. And we're going to be taking a look at recent players a little differently. So if you've been actively playing, there is a big chance that even if you're not VIP or staff, that you'll automatically be whitelisted. And right now, staff is currently working on putting together a list. But I think there's going to be a lot more people that end up having to go through the reapplication process than those that are going to be automatically put in. So just a little bit more insight. And when we talk about inactive players, we also got to talk about inactive forum accounts, or rather inactive players with active forum accounts. So if you're an inactive player and you have an active forum account, but you haven't been playing on ImagineCraft, then we're going to go ahead and modify your forum account. We're just going to strip away your access into the member area of our website. So you'll still have the public view, just like if you didn't log into the forums, that's what you'll see. But what I'm tired of seeing is we start up these community posts and we're looking for feedback from active players, and I have people coming out of the woodworks that haven't been on ImagineCraft. They haven't logged in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, and here they want to throw their 2 cents into the jar. And I don't really think that at this point in time that you get the same voice as someone who's been actively playing around here, especially if you just come on to make a post that just ruffles the feathers of people, or your intent is to stir up drama. So I'm done with that. So you'll notice here I got my troll spray. Okay, Sheldon. Maximum strength for the worst internet trolls. So we're going to go ahead and reduce a lot of drama by doing this. So again, there's that whole quality of ImagineCraft and promoting a community feel. So again, just making changes that are going to make things run so much smoother for Season 2. And we're taking a big look at everything at this moment in time. We always preach quality over quantity, and being our core vision is part of one of our core visions for ImagineCraft. And so now we're actually taking the time to really do something about it after you get on the server. So I think this is really a big important step for us. So again, quality over quantity. We always pride ourselves on making sure that we get quality players on this server, and we want to drive as much of a community experience, satisfactory, happiness, whatever label you want to put on it. We want to make sure that that is there for everybody. And so you'll see a quote from me here: revisiting the basics like recruiting, screening, and retaining community-minded, selfless, helpful, spirited, and enthusiastic players is what continually sets us apart from the competition, by being the server with an exceptional community with a high degree of player satisfaction and happiness. And this is not just me spouting off saying that this community is happy. All the surveys that we put out in the past, player satisfaction has always been up on the high end of the scale. There's always one or two people that aren't satisfied and they try to bring my ratings down, but overall, the satisfaction with our community base is up there, and that's exactly where I intend to keep things. Alright, so let's take a look at the reboot for the ImagineCraft Mini Events Committee. So this was an initiative that I tried to put out a while back, January, I believe, and my buddy Legor Janine, or Lego, as he's called, went ahead and took it by the reins and led it for a while. And as we know, things change, people come and go. And so what I would like to do is actually reboot the ImagineCraft Mini Events Committee. And they're responsible for hosting mini events on the server to run along with, or in coincide, or in tandem, along with the major server events and contests. So when we talk about this, we always have our big monthly event, whether it's build a Roman Colosseum or do a thing in creative or whatever. So we've had lots of different monthly events, collecting player heads. You can go on the wiki and click on events, and you can see the long-running history of things that we put on. But we also want to have a little bit more action than just the one big event. So this is where the mini events committee comes into play. And so a mini event is typically something that can take, a minimum of 10 minutes to, no more than an hour. And we would like to have 2 of these happen per month, or roughly, every 2 weeks is what we would like to see. And this whole committee is composed of player volunteers. It was never my intent to have a large staff focus on this. And in fact, when it first launched, there wasn't any staff involvement other than just generating prizes to hand out from the mini events committee. So if we take a look at this next slide here, we're going to need a lot of people, or a really good, strong core group of players. So if you're interested in standing out, this is definitely the way to do it. If you're looking to get VIP, definitely a step in the right direction. If you're thinking about becoming a moderator, jumping into the line of becoming staff, and exploring that route, it's definitely a good way to go. So there's many ways that you can earn VIP on ImagineCraft, being community minded, helpful, doing wiki edits, using the forums a lot, generally being a positive influence on the server, thinking up different ideas. All of these are ways that you can become VIP. And the ImagineCraft Mini Events Committee is also going to be another way that you can get there. So if you want to work on a team with other people, put together some really awesome events for everyone, this is something that the whole server will benefit from. So again, we need a healthy supply of volunteers. You begin planning, brainstorming, and developing events for the community. And you can just click that link right there for the forum post. Obviously, I think in the video that link is not going to work, but in the accompanying document that goes along with this, you'll be able to see it. Or you can just search for ImagineCraft Mini Events Committee. It's also in the server updates and news forum as well. So that's where you'll find that information. All right, so in conclusion, we went over a lot of information, and it's our hope that all these changes that we're going to make continue to benefit the server as we look to the future. We're ever looking off into the distance, trying to think about how we can always make ImagineCraft better. So feel free to share your thoughts and your feelings on this particular forum post where the presentation was announced. We'd love to hear from you. We're just going to keep it really open-ended this time around. With the thought did enter my brain of maybe I should put together a little survey so people could just hammer off and shoot that in to us real quick. But I think we're just going to leave it open. You can just jump in there, write up a little review, or if you have any questions, whatever. So any thoughts, comments, criticism. Like I said, player warps, definitely wondering how people feel about that, because that is going to change the server dynamic a little bit. It's not going to be as easy to get around, but we still think that with the right infrastructure in place, with the rail system, that we're still going to be covered and everything will still be fine, utilizing nether portals and rail systems. So kind of taking a little bit more vanilla approach to that instead of the ease of just right-clicking on a sign and getting whisked away to your destination. So without further ado, I think that's pretty much it with the presentation. So like I said, a lot of changes. Really looking forward to what's going to happen here with Season 2. So a lot of changes with the map updates. We talk about survival. We're losing amplified. Creative's going to get a new spawn in place, but creative's still going to be the same. Still going to be wiped every 30 days. So no real changes with creative map at all. The shopping district got a major overhaul. Tom's going to be in charge of that. Remember, if you have any trouble with your nether portals, run to someone who has an issue with nether portal, then Aerozap is your guy. We're going to see whitelist and forum changes occur. Don't freak out if you can't connect to ImagineCraft. It will tell you that you're not whitelisted and you need to reapply. So just go do that process real quick. We're going to be watching it like a hawk, especially when we pull the trigger on this. And typically we get everybody, even now, when they apply to the forums, we can grab somebody up in less than 15 minutes and get them on the server again. So as we will continue to make sure that's a very quick process and you're not inconvenienced. We talked about quality versus quantity. We're taking it to a new level this time around with having people reapply, making sure that we've got the best of the best on here, because that is what this server has always been about, is encouraging people to be community minded and making sure that we are the server with the best community. So quality versus quantity, we're actually doing more on this process than just the initial screening of players. And then we talked about the ImagineCraft mini event community reboot. So bringing that back in, and we are going to have one person on staff act as the chair for the mini event committee. And this was just to make sure that we still have as a coordinator role, just making sure that things are still happening. So making sure there's movement with the mini events committee, and then whoever the coordinator is, whether it's a mod or an admin, having them to act as a liaison between the community, the ImagineCraft mini events committee, and also staff, because there might be some events that require some staff intervention, whether it's installing teleport command blocks in place to help people get there a little quicker. Those are still things that we're going to do. We're just going to make sure there's no player warps for mailboxes and bases, but we'll still allow an easy way for you guys to get to events. So don't think that taking away the warps is going to destroy people being able to get together for events, because we do want you to participate with those. All in all, I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation. Like I said, if you have any comments, observations, suggestions, feedback, feel free to lay it on us. Hit up the forum post, make a reply, let us know how you're feeling. Do you feel good about the Season 2 transition, or are you kind of apprehensive? I know everyone takes change a different way. Kind of maybe you're just in shock right now and you want to take a few, maybe a day, 24 hours, something like that. Just think about it and then come on here and post. But, we do want to see what's going through your mind, how your thoughts are. And I know that staff is coming up with questions when I drop a lot of this on them. And then I went ahead and made sure that some of those additions were in here for this presentation. So I'll try and answer all the questions that get posted, as I always do, and look forward to playing with all you guys in Season 2. So, cheers.